In this video, I'll be performing a swirl flap delete on my Jeep Grand Cherokee WK. Hello and a very warm welcome to another video from Auto Night. Swirl flaps are part of the emissions control systems on vehicles and are designed to improve efficiency. They do, however, become stuck and they get coked up. EGR systems on modern cars, which recirculate a portion of exhaust gas back through the engine to be reburnt, do unfortunately create issues of their own in terms of the whole system becoming clogged up. Traditional diesels, the exhaust fumes just went out into the atmosphere. They didn't have turbos, there was nothing to get gummed up. Not the case today. Many people opt to delete their swirl flaps, either because they've had problems with them or because the actuator has developed a fault. So this is what we use to perform the swirl flap delete. I bought this on eBay, it was only 15 quid, so my expectations are not that high. It is essentially a resistor. Now we plug this in place of the actuator for the swirl flaps, and it fools the engine ECU in thinking that everything is okay, so you don't get a code because you've unplugged it. Anyone who knows their electrical components can probably tell me from the colours on this resistor what the resistance value is. I'm led to believe from my investigations that 4,700 ohms is optimal for this. That's probably quite a high wattage. Some of them are very low wattage, 0.25 or 0.5 watts, but it's looking at the size of that resistor, I think that's certainly bigger and better, probably more resilient than some of the tiny little ones that I saw on eBay. So we're going to be fitting this and we'll see what happens. Now the actuator lives right down in here. So the first thing we need to do is to get this pipe, this intake pipe out of the way. Very straightforward. Undo this, we undo this, and we remove the breather. And there is also this 10mm bolt right here that secures the overall pipe to the engine. That just needs to be undone. I've pre-loosened that. The bolt stays in here once it's loosened. And we remove the pipe. We will also be inspecting this seal, which is quite prone to failure as well. Now this connector here is the one we need to disconnect, as it's plugged into the actuator, which is just below. I'm going to clean this area with some brake cleaner because it's actually really quite filthy. To improve accessibility, I'm opting to remove this bracket here, which will enable this connector to be unplugged. It is partially unplugged, but it will not fully unplug. And here is the tool I'm using for removing those. And with these bolts removed, this bracket can be moved out of the way. And now you will see that this plug can be disconnected. And it is now a case of just plugging this in, which I have to use two hands for. So that's all plugged in. I now just need to find somewhere neat where that can be tucked away. It should be able to just stay there. But I will check that it doesn't foul the pipe before I agree on that location. I've just put this bracket back down in here, and I also just refitted the pipe off camera just to make sure that this location is suitable and it doesn't foul the pipe, and it looks like it will slot neatly in that little place there and quietly do its thing. Refit the bracket. Bracket's all refitted. I've also checked this seal here and seated it correctly. It's really important that this is seated correctly. If it is incorrectly, it will look like this. This edge here needs to slot it down into the groove around here. You can use a screwdriver, but make sure it's not sharp. I've used an old blunt screwdriver just to ease that in, so that's correctly seated. And then these little nipply bits stick through these holes here, so you can see it's correctly located. Intake pipes refitted. This is tightened. This bolt's tightened. This Jubilee clip is tightened. This breather, which I'm just about to reconnect, pumps quite a lot of oil vapours into this intake pipe, which ultimately get drawn in by the turbo. But if this seal is not intact, some of it won't get into the turbo. Instead, it will get all over your engine. And some say that that's what actually causes the swirl flap actuator to fail in the first place. All done. Now just time to refit the engine cover and take it for a road test. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope it was useful if you are looking to bypass your swirl flaps on your Jeep Grand Cherokee. £15, little resistor complete with connector on eBay. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.